Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another movie spoiler review. We're taking care of Last Jedi. Uh, yeah, I'm just not gonna bury the lead here. These last two movies was like I want to say a tough go. There's certain things that I do like about it, but by and large, it's still like a piss poor way of ending like the Skywalker saga. But this movie picks up, not too long after the events of The Force Awakens. Uh, Poe leaves. I mean, this is probably one of the funniest parts because I remember laughing my butt off. A lot of us was laughing our butts off at the beginning of this film where Poe pretends having like a bad connection uh, with General Hux, and it's like it's like just effing with him just to distract you know from the plan of bringing in these uh, ships that have like the explosives on them, planning to drop them on the flagship of the First Order. Now, of course, uh, Leia orders when it doesn't seem like the plan was going to go their way. Leia orders Poe to back away, but he just refused because, like, I got a job to do. We're going to like, take, we're going to like, strike at the heart of these people, and of course, there's like at least four or five of these ships that has these explosives on them, and one managed to drop a significant amount of like bombs on them, but by and large, they all dying. The pilots on them including like this character Rose's sister, and of course, Leia, is obviously peed out about this, trying to teach him that it's like, you gotta get your head out of the cockpit, and it's like, you know, he's trying to teach you how to be a leader, and sometimes the leader has to know when to not engage. There's always another fight, another day, because losing that significant amount of lives wasn't worth it. Of course, Poe didn't think so. But then, of course, you see like the whole thing with like Luke and Ray on Act Two. It's just like these names is so freaking I don't know. It just doesn't give the same ring to like Hoth or Tatooine, But he's on self-imposed exile because you find out that like he let his fear of what his nephew was gonna turn into, because he was like literally was contemplating on actually killing his own nephew because what he sensed from him and what he could become. It's like, I can't let another Darth Vader rise, and it's like, and for a moment Luke uh lost himself. It's like, and that would have been played well if like things around it, wasn't so crappy. But it's like it's something that you don't expect Luke to do, or at least have like a better excuse than what transpired. But of course, we know it was later Snoke who was kind of manipulating the situation, uh, and which caused like Ben Solo to rebel against the Luke's Jedi order. You know, take some Jedi with them who you at the time would think would have been like his Knights of Ren, but no, they were just especially from like comic books that I read, they were just like some group of like hardcore mercenary type of guys or something Sith related. I don't know. It just they really didn't amount to nothing. It's like you build these guys up, and it's like you really did not use them well at all. And any significant amount of time you dedicate to them was in the last movie, which they had what 10 minutes of screen time. 5 to 10 minutes. And of course, he later, thanks to R2's prodding, he later relents and decides I will teach Rey 3 lessons, and he through those teachings, she understand like she has like a significant skills at the Force, but she's so drawn to like she didn't hesitate when she like got lulled into the dark side. But but I did want to mention how this funny moment, it still kind of cracks me up, where she's like, close your eyes and reach out to the Force, and she throws out her hand. That got a big laugh out of my theater. I still remember that, and Luke takes his leaf and starts like tickling her hands, like, oh, do you feel that? Like, oh, you must really strong with the Force. And it's like, it's like, oh, you meant reach out with my heart, like, and it's like, it's just nice, like, it's just moments like that. He's like, okay, it's nice to see. You get that with like in Book of Boba Fett when you see a little bit of him teaching Grogu, and it's like you just like to see Luke being like a teacher and really showing his stuff. But we would have got more of that. But I like the moment where he's telling Rey about the whole backstory of the prequel stuff. It's like at the height of their hubris, they allow Darth Sidious to rise up and destroy the Jedi Order, and it's like we cannot let that happen again. And that's my folly, in my quest to prevent another Vader situation. I end up causing it regardless because my fear, which of course you get a little bit of that from Kylo Ren, who's had this like unexplained connection, but you realize there was no forcing a connection between these two. And they see some people complain about how like hey, what's how, like certain things being used with the Force, and I don't begrudge it because certain people can utilize the Force in like unique ways, depending on the individual. They're not all created equal. You get Force lightning, you get like levitation, Force pulls. Sometimes you can heal others using the Force. It just like depends on like the level of training and like the uniqueness of the person himself. And it evolves. People didn't understand that at the time, and probably didn't want to understand it at that time because it was so bitter about like how, which I understand, like the writing, some of the plot holes in like Last Jedi and the significant amount of plot holes in Rise of Skywalker kind of I won't say unknowingly, but kind of like overshadow whatever good qualities these movies did have. But then of course you get like a moment where Kylo Ren was about to shoot at like Leia's flagship, but then they get this little connection themselves, sensing each other. And of course, Kylo hesitates, but another TIE fighter shoots out the command deck where Leia, and I didn't realize until because this is my second time watching this film since the theater, but I forget that Admiral Akbar was in the command deck with her. So a bunch of people, like a decent handful of leaders that was on that deck with Leia, not all, but like a few, they get shot out into space, died. But Leia, who, this is the weirdest thing my father thought was like a kind of weird as well, when she's like Supermaning herself back to the ship. And this is kind of iffy because, Carrie Fisher passed away after this film. And so it's kind of like, at that time in my mind, it's like, you could have utilized that part to like it being your way out. Have, give us some kind of, I won't say dignity, but it's like, having out with like, the death of Leia, but you having her Superman her way in. Well, I didn't understand, like, she shot a significant amount of scenes already, so of course. But if that was the case, man, you could at least have some thing in between where she passed away, or at least have a scene in the beginning where she passed away. It's just like, it just seems like, certain moments that miss opportunities. But see, Superman and her ways back onto the ship was make it kind of awkward. Because she did have some level of Jedi training with her brother after the Return of the Jedi situation. But then, of course, she's like in some kind of like a healing in like a bed chamber. And then, Admiral Holdor, the purple hair lady, assuming command. And of course, she doesn't want to tell Poe jack crap about what's going on, even though it's like this ends up resulting in some kind of mutiny led by Poe, because you want to teach him some kind of lesson instead of just telling him that, okay, it's classified because you got the motive by Leia and what have you, but you could at least assured him that you have a plan. I can't tell you much, but trust and believe, like, it's under the control of something, rather than leaving him in the dark and giving him grief. Because like, I know, pilots like you're dangerous and you're doing this and you this, and it's like, okay, you want to bang Oscar Isaac, I get it, fine, but it's like, because like her and Leia had this little mini conversation later on in the film, and it's like, he's something. It's like God, keep it in your pants, ladies. But like, you could have prevented a lot of stuff if you just would have just came clean, or at least give him something. But then, of course, like, you get more with like, shirtless Kylo Ren, and leaving like Rey kind of flummoxed. Is there a shirt you can put on? And that little deep voice is like, oh, did Skywalker tell you what happened? Tell me, Rey, where are you? That voice is like, I don't know. He still talks. I didn't mention this in my review of Star Wars Season 2, Star Wars Resistance Season 2, when Kylo Ren had like a cameo, but he still talks like he still has that mask on, and I thought that was kind of odd. Like, why you talk like you still got that mask on? What else happened? Shoot. But then, of course, you get the casino planet. All I'm gonna say about the casino planet is a waste of time, and lest we forget about the whole situation where like the Star Wars, I don't even want to call them fanboys. It's like toxic people who take Star Wars property and their fandom of the property way too far by sending like death threats to this poor lady who played Rose. I forgot her doggone name. Kelly Kelly Marie. Kelly Marie Tran. And it's like a lovely person, great actress, and she along with like what is it, John Boyega as Finn. I keep confusing him with like the guy who was yeah, it was John Boyega. I keep confusing him with the guy who played Cyborg in the Justice League movie, because he gets he got crap from like fandom too before the Snyder cut thing. But she got a lot of blame because of the whole Casino Planet. Like she made Ryan Johnson put in that scene because she wanted it so badly or something. But it's like the Casino Planet was not needed. They didn't go to because they was looking for this because they the flagship keeps tracking them by the lead ship, trying to track them throughout. Anytime they jump into hyperspace, they can always still find them. So they got to do the slow, just out of reach, just slowly out of reach, trying to track them down till they eventually run out of fuel. So they go to the side quest, Casino Planet thing to find the code breaker, to break into the flagship to shut down their tracker long enough for them to make the escape for another jump. But of course, they didn't find this guy. They ended up finding this guy named DJ, this stuttering, Marvel, the Collector, Benicio del Toro's playing, and I think like, because he's like on his philosophy is like, there's no good side or bad side. It's just, it's just business. It's like I think they kind of did it better in the Clone Wars series about how people are there's war profiteers on both ends, and we already got that. That wasn't needed. You could just, if you want to have Benicio del Toro, he could have just been the code breaker in the first place. And he didn't need to do all this like subterfuge, and it could have been just tossed out all entirely. But it just dragged the movie longer than it need to. But Ray decides, okay, like, because Kylo kind of put it, kind of frankly, it's like you are longing for some kind of parental figure. You sought it after my own father. You're looking at it in Luke, and it's like your parents aren't nothing kind of situation. It was Ryan Johnson's mistake because, like I will explain in my Rise of Skywalker review, J.J. Abrams trying to spend most of that movie correcting the stuff that people didn't like about this movie, like making like Rey's parentings nothing when they were actually something. But Rey decides, I'm going to go and turn Kylo Ren to good again, just like you did with Vader. But of course, Leia and like Luke in this film doesn't believe there's any hope, which is for any hope for him turning good. And it's like, it's weird coming from you guys, especially you, Luke, who managed to turn a supposed bad guy too good, or at least somebody who doesn't people who did not believe could turn good at all. You managed to turn good, and it's like you found a way, and it's like you seem like you gave up, or something happened to you where that isn't explaining why you just feel so differently. But he decides to just burn like the old Jedi texts, which I'm surprised he even still has those, because he should be starting like a new way of thinking for the Jedi Order moving forward, and not looking to the past, which is like one of the themes here is like, let the past die, kill it if you have to, which is probably one of my favorite lines in this film, that I every now and again like to quote. But then he gets a visit by Force Ghost Yoda, who burns the text himself using force lightning. Uh, trying to teach Luke that you know you know a good lesson for any teacher is learning from their mistakes, kind of situation. And you get like an awesome scene with Rey on the command deck being brought to Snoke by Kylo, and Snoke reveals that he was manipulating both of them to get that connection going on, trying to sow the seeds of doubt between her and Luke, trying to force a wedge between the two. Then you get like people was worried about rehashing Empire, but you get like a moment where he's forcing, using his force powers to put her to like a window to see the fleet taking down a lot of the resistance ships, just like Palpatine did for Luke. But then like Snoke saying like is my apprentice has resolve, there's no turning him to the light side, and like I see him turning his saber onto his enemy. And then like this is a sweet move. Kylo just like subtly like twisted his fingers and turning the saber that's next to Snoke, switching it on and cutting him in half, all the while keeping his mind still, keeping Snoke from reading his thoughts about what he's really going to do. Then he brings the saber towards them so Rey can catch it, and then you get these cool fight scene between Snoke's Crayola red looking guards and Rey and Kylo just decimating these guys. Although in a decent twist where you think, this is the moment where like Kylo will turn good and he saw the light side, but no, it's like he didn't turn good, obviously. He just, has like a different method of handling things because he wants to eradicate the past. No more Skywalker, no more Snoke, none of the, resistance, no, Empire. We lead the galaxy, in a new way moving forward with you and I at the helm. Like, let your past die. But then they had this force tug of war between Luke's lightsaber, bisecting it in the process, while Holdo pulled the Holdo maneuver, which is coined now, where you take this flagship or any ship and just like jump to light speed and crash this kamikaze into another ship, which, by the way, to this day is probably the coolest thing anybody probably seen in Star Wars, utilizing ships, just by itself. This with when it comes to ship battles by itself, that's probably one of the coolest scenes in Star Wars history. Where it's like it's no sound, it's just like pew, and just like a bluish white light, and just like tearing it up. Like that was like a baller move. All the while, you got like, Finn and Rose, finishing their side quest and thinking they're going to die by Phasma, which, with that whole door maneuver, causes like a wreckage, and they're fighting like, Finn's fighting Phasma, which is something that's like you never know. Phasma's supposed to have been like, I guess, the, Boba Fett 2.0 kind of situation that you don't see her face, and what's her backstory? What she got is, like have it out for Finn so much. That could have been a, if paced correctly and planned out from the jump before Force Awakens even started, you could have had like a decent, like, tit for tat between Finn and Phasma. But that can't be explored anymore. That is, it's like you never know. We don't know like what is her deal at all. Uh, even why she joined the First Order, or at least, what is her thing? You don't know. She just dies. And then of course they, fly, on this like salt planet, thinking that they're like trapped while the First Order is, taking this giant battering ram, and like it's gonna go in, pierce the thing like an egg, but then yet Finn trying to do like a kamikaze and like sacrifice himself to take down this machine to give them the rest of the resistance some moment to figure a way to get out of the situation. But then like Rose comes in, stops him, and then gives like there's a lot of awkward kisses in Star Wars. I swear it's weird. I don't know what is that running thing going on in this franchise. But then she gives this little, grandma kiss to this guy, to Finn. It's like, we don't, we save the ones we love. It's like something like that. And it's like, what? It's like, and it was so awkward. I think everybody in my theater was so confused about this kiss. It's like, what kind of relationship do you think you had with this guy? And of course, that wasn't explored any further beyond into the next movie. But then, yet like Luke coming in, shocking everybody, and like you having a little sit down with like Leia. Ham's heard this like dice that don't know why the dice means anything. We never see it in like in the original trilogy at all. I don't know where the dice come from. But Luke goes out and like steps up to Kylo Ren. And of course, this is all a ruse. It was like a force projection, keeping Ren distracted while Rey picks up everybody in the Millennium Falcon behind like the shelter. And this projection, because it's like takes a lot out of like Luke and cause him to die, which to this day I didn't like, because like if Luke's gonna die, okay, that's all well and good. I'm not begrudging that, but it's just like that could have been saved towards the Rise of Skywalker, and I still think they should have introduced Mara Jade, and because that's his wife, and he's supposed to have had like a kid by her, that kind of thing. That is like completely complete. But like I said many times, they need Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau need to just do like a press conference or something and say like, okay, we're not going to erase Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. That's going to still be there on Disney Plus, but we're going to rework it all and make it consistent and proper. Kind of like Snyder cut it, just completely Snyder cut it, where it's like, okay, here's what we're going to put in to make it consistent, so people have a good arcs, open-ended arcs, so that way it goes to A to B to C to D, rather than A to F to E to Z to B to N, because that doesn't make any goddamn sense. So yeah, the movie ends, but it's like, man, like I said, there's moments, even in Rise of Skywalker, after rewatching it, because that's my second time watching it since the theaters, there's good moments in it, but boy, it's like it's overshadowed by inconsistencies and plot holes. And man, it's not the way like I want the Skywalker saga to wrap up. Personally, it's not the actors' fault. I think all the actors involved did a phenomenal job, and I wish nothing but the best for Kelly Marie Tran, because she has been. That's why you don't see her all that much. She didn't have much screen time in the next one because of the Twitter mob. These toxic fanboys and girls out there who gave her. She had to cuff her. Social media pages because of this crap. Because y'all can't separate the art from the artist. It's just certain fandoms is just like got weird toxic people, and they they just need to get a fucking life. But I just hope nothing but the best for Kelly Marie Tran moving forward. Because I didn't mind the character of Rose. I thought she was cute and adorable. I just wish she had. It's the casino planet that was just not needed. But everything else with her was perfectly fine. And like that weird grandma kiss that could have been left out. They didn't. There was no chemistry between these two. Just like there's no chemistry between Rey and Kylo Ren. It's more so it's like friends. Or at the most brother and sister kind of relationship. Honestly, there wouldn't even need to be any type of love story involved with anybody. It's like one of those kind of movies that does not need like somebody falling in love with another person. It was only maybe Han and Leia is probably the only one that actually kind of worked. But by and large, it's not really needed. Rey and Kylo does not require them to be together or be some kind of item. That's just my personal take on it. Same way it was like Finn. Even though a lot of people like to ship Finn and Poe together, because let's be honest, they seem like have a better relationship between each other more so than Rose or whoever that black girl who was an ex-stormtrooper in the next movie was. And don't get me started on her and Billy D. Williams' awkward, dialogue between each other. Is like, why are you talking to her like you're hitting on her at the same time making it feel like that she could be possibly your daughter? That's just all kinds of weird. I know that's in the second film. I'm gonna start bringing it up now while I'm thinking about it, because that was it's still awkward to this day. But that is my review for Last Jedi. I know it's kind of short compared to the other, most of the other films of Star Wars that I covered so far. But, like I said, it's like there's good moments, but the bad ones outweigh the good moments in my opinion. And it's like Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker I will never revisit ever again. I mean, unless somebody else is watching it and it happened to be on, or if I'm introducing my future kids to Star Wars, I'll probably have to rewatch it again at that point. But by and large, I won't actively seek it out, these two movies, at all. Same thing with Resistance. I think that's like that and Rebels is probably like sucky TV show versions of Star Wars. But leave a comment below if you've seen Last Jedi recently. Is it still good for you or is it still bad for you? How has it changed over the years? And I will see you in a minute as I cover the last Star Wars thing. Well, aside from Obi-Wan Kenobi series, because and then the Ahsoka show. But as of right now, covering the last movie of Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker.